The concept of absolute control is a desperate lie told by the weak to comfort themselves against the inevitability of chaos. Absolute dominion demands a closed system, a flawless cage where no external variable can breathe, yet the universe breeds anomalies that shatter perfection. Zerario proposed the unthinkable with the calmness of a veteran who had already accepted the risk. He demanded that Leon and Zoe attack him at full force, choosing to deliberately provoke the ultimate dominion imposed by Feldway. If Leon had truly escaped its control, pressure and resistance would expose the structural weakness in the system binding them. Leon agreed almost immediately. He understood the danger, but he also remembered the override circuit Rimuru had once tampered with inside his own angelic skill. If a single entity could interfere with something labeled absolute, freedom ceased to be an impossibility. Yet, before their blades could test the theory, a foreign presence violated their isolation. An uninvited voice pierced the sanctuary of their minds, carrying an offer that defied the established laws of reality. It spoke without warning, offering to remake their angelic skills to ensure no external force could ever affect them again. Leon stiffened for only a moment before recognition settled in. He knew this recklessness. If it was him, there's nothing strange about this at all, he thought, already resigned to Rimuru's impossible methods. To Leon, Rimuru had long since crossed the line between genius and madness. Zerario reacted differently. He remained expressionless, but inwardly he shook. His mind possessed layers of psychological barriers refined over countless battles, yet the voice bypassed them effortlessly. He wondered how the intruder spoke directly to his mind, unsettled by a sincerity that lacked threats or coercion. The entity demanded only that they follow instructions and attack with all their might. That simplicity disturbed him more than deception would have, but Zerario had already decided he would risk everything for freedom. After a long silence, he accepted. The response came instantly. I will now perform ability adjust. Power shifted violently through both men as Leon's Metatron evolved into Surya, Lord of Brilliance, and Zerario's Israfil transformed into Métis, Lord of Retribution. In that brief, cataclysmic moment, the invisible chains around their souls no longer belonged to Feldway. Deep within the command hub, Rimuru listened as Ciel calmly explained that all the necessary pawns were in place. Leon's cooperation was expected. Zerario's was a wild variable that disrupted the equation. The strategic mind of the slime struggled to understand how an enemy general had ended up assisting them. Ciel answered with unsettling simplicity. Michael contained something called ultimate dominion that allowed for absolute external control over angelic skills, so I merely made use of that. Rimuru could only stare at the result. What once threatened them had quietly become their greatest advantage. Ciel sounded pleased with itself, almost proud after tinkering with Leon and Zerario's abilities. He wanted to object, but the timing left zero room for moral debate. While Leon and Zerario maintained their staged battle, Rimuru coordinated the larger operation. Benimaru remained focused on Jahil, guiding Sylvia, Kigali, and Tier through the fight by exploiting weaknesses only he could recognize. Their teamwork steadily cornered Jahil, and Rimuru trusted Benimaru enough to shift his attention elsewhere. Then he saw the Magus forces clearly for the first time. Towering armored constructs moved like living weapons, 16 feet tall and strangely elegant. Even amid the chaos, Rimuru caught himself thinking he wanted to study them later, if Thalion survived. Beyond them, Milim's aura continued to expand, a rising tide of localized apocalypse. That frightened him most. She showed no exhaustion, only growth. Power once restrained was now fully emerging, and even after defeating Michael, Rimuru felt uneasy facing her directly. The decisive battle approached, and one mistake would reduce Thalion to ashes. On the fractured earth below, Zerario stood frozen for a moment after the voice disappeared. He felt the invisible chains around his heart core shattering all at once. Feldway's control, forced upon him through Michael's power, was simply gone. At first, he assumed he had lost everything along with it, believing Israfil, Lord of Trials, had vanished from his grasp forever. Yet, almost immediately, he realized the skills still existed inside him, altered into something deeper and far more dangerous. The new power unfolded instinctively in his mind. Métis, Lord of Retribution, allowed him to govern matter, flow, and wavelength itself within his domain. Even Leon's feared disintegration could be redirected if Zerario handled it correctly. The realization unsettled him more than the battle ever had. Who in the world could have done this? He muttered. It was Rimuru, Leon answered without hesitation. Zerario stared at him, unable to decide whether the answer was absurd or terrifying. Ultimate skills were divine systems tied to the laws of the world themselves. He had spent tens of billions of years obtaining one, yet Rimuru rewritten them in moments. You don't have to think too hard about it, Leon said. Just accept it as the way things are. Zerario deemed it insane, though Soe looked offended instead, warning him that he was being disrespectful to Sir Rimuru. Unexpectedly, Leon nodded in agreement. That's right. The silence afterward felt stranger than combat. Leon himself had changed as well. Surya, Lord of Brilliance, now rested naturally within him. Fitting so perfectly, he wielded it as though he had always possessed it. Zerario recognized the danger immediately. Leon's experience against countless enemies gave him an edge no raw power could erase. When Zerario asked if he intended to test the new skill, Leon only smirked, stating they would have plenty of time for that later. Then both men turned toward the approaching Milim, their unfinished duel forgotten beneath the shadow of a greater disaster. Rimuru watched the final stage of the plan unfold at impossible speed. Ahead of him, Milim hovered before the sacred tree, her aura expanding with frightening intensity. If we messed up the first move, it was game over, he realized, calculating how little time remained before she unleashed Dragonova. Even with Velgrin shielding the world from collateral damage, the pressure surrounding Milim felt endless. Benimaru had already arranged every piece on the board, standing calm beneath the chaos, directing the Magus as if rehearsing a performance instead of preparing for catastrophe. The towering armored constructs fired together, their massive beam cannon converging into a single point of heat bright enough to scar the sky. Milim ignored it almost entirely, yet the attack achieved its purpose. A brief hesitation. That sliver of time belonged to Soe first. Suspended motionless in the air, he released Thousand Shadow Death, his shadows multiplying into countless bindings around Milim. She tore through them instantly, but Soe had never expected victory. His role was delay. Leon followed without pause. Be rendered into dust. 100 Breaker. Disintegration flooded the battlefield in waves of white light, powerful enough to erase armies. Milim's invisible barrier shimmered with stellar brilliance and absorbed the attack without yielding an inch. Then Zerario struck. Insanity Hush. His sword descended with terrifying precision, carrying enough force to silence the battlefield itself. Even Milim reacted, if only slightly. Benimaru had been waiting for exactly that moment. Now for the real show. His blade ignited in black and crimson flames as Prominence Acceleration took the shape of a dragon and crashed into Milim. For the first time, she stopped completely. At that instant, Rimuru entrusted everything to Ciel. Reset. The command arrived quietly. Feldway's control shattered without spectacle, and the invisible chains binding Milim disappeared.